Doing well. So we are here with yet another video on React. We are going to create this amazing React editor project. So let me show you without any further ado. Let's see, this is just pure HTML and CSS content that we have here in this is our React component. Everything we have here is HTML and pure CSS. So let me show you the magic. I can just select any text here like this. I'll just go out here, pick the color, and you can see here I can highlight any text here. I can highlight this text here as well and make it green, right? More than that, we have this Mount Everest here, and I can just select this text, make it bold, right? I have this UNESCO here. I can just select this text and highlight it by giving this orange color, right? Furthermore, I have this Chittor National Park here. I'll just select it. I will give red color, and you can see here we are highlighting everything. More than that, I can also give this planning a trip to Nepal, and I'll just make it bold, and it will be a bold. Do you want to see another magic? So let's go out here. Let's say Newari, right? I'm just going to select this Newari text, and then I'm going to add a comment. Community, and I'll just add the note here, and you can see here the Newari text is now wrapped around with this border, and if I just hover on it, I get my sticky notes up there, right? I can just say one-horned rhinoceros. I can select this text. I'll just say this and add a note. Now I can just cancel it, and you can see I will get my sticky notes right there, right? I can just select this text. I get the sticky note right there. So this is pretty awesome, and in this video we're going to learn how to create this project using React, and let's have some fun. Okay, so the first thing, let's create our React app. Now we want to give the name of a project to be React editor. So now it is creating our project. In this time, let's see a couple of packages that we're going to use. So the first package is Zustand. So it is a package for state management that we're going to use in our project. We can do a couple of things, like we can create our hooks as our store and use the state in our components directly. So it's pretty easy to use. We just have to create a hook which will be our state store, right? So the next thing that we're going to use is XPath range. So the XPath range basically gives us the range of our node, like where is our text, paragraph, and all of that element. So for that we can just say npm install XPath range, and a couple of options like from range and to range, and we can get the range from there. Third package that we're going to use is React icons. So React icons basically contain bunch of icons that we can use. There are a couple of icons that we're going to use in our project, and we're going to use those icons. So all these packages we're going to use it, we will know it when we are using it in our project. All we have to do now is to install it after the create React app is done. Alright, so the project has been created. Now let's go inside the project. After that, let's install those packages that we saw earlier. So the first package is Zustand. Just copy and paste. Just npm install Zustand only. Okay, so now the next package, XPath range. This is a pretty important package in our project. Okay, so now the React icons that we're going to use. Alright, so all the packages has been installed. Now we can just open the project and run it. Okay, so we have created our project and opened it in our VS Code. So first thing we're going to do is go inside each and every file inside the project. But before that, let's run it. Open the terminal, hit npm start. So the project is running now. Let's see what we have here. And it's a basic React project. So now let's go inside our app.js file and just remove everything that we don't need and create something similar like s1 tag. Let's say I am React editor. Now you can see here we get that in our page. Another thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove everything from app.css and we're going to include here our own css. We will keep it the same. Now for the our css, I'm not going to write all the css. It's going to be very time consuming, so I have created a gist file for you. You can just copy and paste all the css from here, from this gist file. So let's give some height and width to it just to make it look a little bit better here. We're going to create a complete design out of it. Yeah, it looks really great now. Alright, so first let's create another component. We'll create a component folder here. Inside a component folder, we're going to create a component file. We'll give it a component name is editor.js. Let's call it editor.dom.js. Create a React component and then we're going to import this component inside our app.js file right here. Like this. Okay, so we'll give it a class name called nodes wrapper. All right. It looks really bulky, but it's fine. Now we're going to solve this problem. For that, we're going to write a couple of HTML code. So this is also a normal HTML code, which is why I'm not going to write it myself. I'll just create a gist file, put a link in the description below. You can just copy and paste it. Just normal D paragraph, normal CSS and HTML code, nothing much in it. And we're going to create all the feature inside this file with regard to, to this file, right? So yeah, we're getting the error, and the error is because of this comment box that is there. We're going to remove that comment like that. And now if you go to our page, it looks absolutely brilliant with a beautiful design. So now let's create the JSON from this DOM element. So for that, let's create a util file. We're going to convert all the HTML to JSON. So for that, we will also need a package, but before that, let's create a file called html-content.js. This file is going to convert our HTML into the JSON. So for that, we need a package called React from JSON or from DOM. I don't know. So go to the package and install the package like this. So this package is going to convert our HTML code into a JSON object, which we are going to use to create our editor. Alright, so while that's installing, let's write our code. We're going to import convert, which is inside that documentation. I think I should just copy and paste from here. Okay, just like this. All I need to do is convert it, and that convert will just convert our HTML into our JSON. So I'll just const HTML JSON equals to convert, and convert our blog, normal blog HTML code. Okay, it looks good. Now go inside our here. I'm just to copy all the blog element, everything, and put it inside there so I can convert this HTML into our JSON. Basically, you can put any HTML inside it. You don't have to copy the HTML that I gave you. You can use your own HTML as well. For now, here I'll just give it default h1 work in progress. and I'll put all the HTML here inside convert. So what this is going to do is it's going to convert this HTML into JavaScript object. Now what we're going to do is now let's create a hook. So I'll just create a folder called custom hooks. Inside that folder I'll create a file. I'll call it use dom.js. Let's import create from Zustand. So we're going to create our state and our store here for our DOM. Let's import the HTML JSON, which is the JSON object that was created by converting that HTML code that we have written, and we're going to export our store here. The store is called use DOM, which is a custom hook, which is going to contain all the state. So why I'm writing that two times, I don't know. So the syntax is like this: we give a set, then a JSON object, then we'll give it DOM, which will be our HTML DOM. Yeah, let's remove that. And the DOM will contain our HTML JSON. So let's spread it and write HTML JSON like that. Next, we're going to create set DOM property, which is going to change the DOM element or the DOM state. So it will get the DOM element and it will set our DOM state with that DOM element like this. Okay, so the state is done. We're going to import that DOM element here from our state manager or our state store called use DOM, which we just created right now, and we'll just get that DOM element from state.dom. Okay, so we have the DOM. We have to import that use DOM. Let's try to import it directly from here. Okay, it is not picking it up. Let's import it manually. Okay, so let's console log this DOM and see what we are getting here. We can see here we get the object, and the object contains the complete JSON of our DOM element. You can see we have prop, key, children, and everything contain props contain another class name and children's, and the children contain two paragraph and element. So these children contain paragraphs. Yeah, so you can see here for the first element we have an array called post title, and why Nepal is the best place, which is the heading. So yeah, we are getting all the HTML there. After converting HTML to JSON, let's create a component now. So first of all, I will create this file called createComponent.js. I will create a function here which is going to convert our JSON into our HTML. Just kind of like doing the same thing. We converted HTML to JSON. Now we have to convert that JSON to HTML so we can begin the editing process. So it will take DOM element, then I'll create a children array like this. So we will check if the DOM element has children. and we will also check if the children is type of string or not. So if we have a children, then obviously we want to map that children and create a React element out of it. So if you don't have any type, we are just returning whatever we are getting as a children. But if we have a type, then obviously we want to create a component again. We're going to call this function as a recursive function, and we'll provide the children right there. Pretty simple. It's just that we are creating this recursive function right there, which is going to call that function again and again from inside. Okay, so we're going to put the children, which will be equals to all the elements that we get from there, from the map. It has to be 3 dots. So we have properties, and we spread all the element properties here like that. If we don't have any property, we will give an empty JSON object. Let's give a unique key to each and every element, otherwise React will give us warning. So just give a new date and add some random math number, so say math.random, and give 1000 to get a now random math numbers. Okay, so the key is fixed. Now I also want to convert our tag name into lowercase, because sometimes the tag name comes in uppercase in our JSON object. So if we give to lowercase, then it will convert it into lowercase as a normal HTML element like that. Finally, we have just written React create element to create our element from our JSON. So React create element, and we'll provide all the element detail from there, like tag name, properties, and children's. And in this way, we can obviously create our React component from a JSON object. So we are full circle here. We converted HTML to JSON, and then now we have just created a function to convert JSON to HTML. So let's try it out. Let's see what happens. Let's create a constant called node content, or we can also call it a block content. Let's call it a block content, and we will create component from our DOM JSON, whichever we got there. So we provide DOM there, and we will get our JSON object, and create component will convert that into an HTML component. So the block containers will contain our HTML. So let's save it and let's see. And as you can see there, we absolutely got our HTML element from our JSON DOM object, which is pretty cool. Alright, so let's see here what the problem is. Let's see in our create component. I think problem is the DOM element or properties. Yeah, I think it should be prop, because everything is inside prop. The dot like that. Now if we go to our page, I think it should work fine. Yes, our CSS is now working absolutely fine, and we got our HTML from the JSON object, which is pretty cool. Right, so now let's create another hook. We will call it use editor.js. Inside this hook, we will create a default config file, a JSON object. The object will contain name and value. For the default, we will just give it an empty string. Now, let's create our store of use editor. I'll do the same thing. Create state, and we'll give our state. We'll give the state the default value. So the state will be type, which will contain the default value of default config. And then we'll just create another function called change type to change that type state. It will be 3 dots. So we will create a config which will contain x path and selected text, which will also be an empty string for the beginning. Okay, now we need to create a couple of functions called change type and change config. So change type will get the type value, name and value as a parameter, and then it will set those in our state. Okay, similarly we will also create a function to change the config. So we will set x path to the x path and selected text to the selected text. Okay, so we have to import that create from Zustand like that. Okay, so let's create another hook called use selection.js, which will deal with all the selection concept and logic in our project. So let's export the function or custom hooks called use selection. Let's create the state of mouse point and set mouse point. The state will be used to detect the point of the mouse where our mouse pointer is at which location from X and Y. We will give the default value of X0 and Y0 as well. Let's import it. All right. So we'll import the change config from the editor hook that we created before, and we'll just get that state dot change config like this. Now we will also create a ref with use ref. We will also get the selected text from our so we will create a function called select text, which is going to run whenever we leave the mouse to the top. So we will use the callback and we'll just say if there is no editor ref, which means that if the reference doesn't exist, then we want to return it. So what we are doing here is that whenever the reference doesn't contain the mouse event value node, then we are just returning it from the function. But if wherever we are clicking, the text we are clicking is inside that container where we want it to be clicked, then we need to go and get the selected text whenever we select the text. But if there is no text, then also we want to return. Now let's set the mouse point. Whenever we do mouse, when we click at some point or select at the some point, then we want to get the mouse point x and y coordinates, and we get that from e dot page x and y is e dot page y. Pretty simple. Okay, so we got this. So next thing that we should get is our x path. So we will get that x path from our package of from range, and we provide the selected text from here, and we'll just get range 8 from 0, and we will also provide the reference from which we should start the range counter or range point. Now we'll just say x path equal to x path dot start. So we just get the value from the start, and then we're going to split it from slash to create an array out of it. But the array will contain null and undefined, so we want to remove that by just doing filter and returning true for each and every element. Okay, now first of all, from x path we want to remove the main tag from it, so we'll just say remove main and contain, give all the rest and remaining x paths from right there. So in this way we are just able to remove the first value from the array. After that, we're going to say change config and provide the x path that we have in our global state. Very simple. So this is how it works. Okay, so now we should give a use effect. The use effect will basically add an event listener whenever we are mouse up, and we're going to call that function that we just created called select text. Now whenever the component unmount, we also want to remove the event listener, so that's what we're going to do here. Document.remove event listener, mouse up and select inside a string. Okay, and like this it will just work fine, but now we should give select text as a dependency there for it to work properly and to not to get the ESLint error. Okay, so it's fine. Now finally what we're going to do is we're going to return something from here, from this hook. which is editor ref and mouse point, and we are done with this. Okay, so since all the configuration has been set up, let's start using it in our editor dom.js file. Basically, I'm going to wrap it inside a fragment first, like this. Second thing that I should be doing is importing those config and xpaths and mouse points that I just created earlier. But let's first give it a ref, which will be also an editor ref that will be written from our custom hook. So first let's return it from there and then use it. I'll just say const editor ref and also mouse point. And it will be written from use selection, which is our custom hook. So the use selection, yeah, it's pretty good. That's what we wanted. Now we have to import it, use selection right there, and now we can, let's test it out. Editor ref, yeah, this spelling is good. Now we're going to use our ref here in our nodes wrapper. It is very important because now we can only click inside our ref element or our blog element to edit it. Now another thing I'm going to create is another component called floating toolbar. So whenever we select the text, we get a toolbar to edit, add color, highlight, add notes, and all of that. It will contain a prop x, which will be mouse pointer.x, and same for the y. Okay, so let's create that. I'll create a new file called floating toolbar.js, not a folder, I think a file. Okay, let's import the component. Let's get both of our props, which is x and y, and let's try to see it from here. So let's see what we get. First import it probably. Okay, as you can see, we get the 0 value because the mouse is at the 0 pointer right now. Okay, so now we're going to create some of custom hooks and modals. So let's create the first hooks called use comment modal.js. So it will be our just land store, which will contain this state for our model. So let's create that store. I'm having a tea, by the way. It's early in the morning. Just a random information. Yeah. So the it will contain open modal state, which will be false by default because we want to close the modal at the beginning, and then we just can toggle the modal and make it to true so that we can open our comment modal. Simple. It has to be open modal. Open comment. Okay, state that open comment. So we're just going to create an opposite of whatever it is. So if it is true, then false. If it is false, then it will be true. Import it, and our first hooks for our custom model comment model is now done. Okay, after this we should be creating our another store. for our model. So we'll just call it use model. And now this model is going to be for our color highlight text, where we choose all our colors. So let's create a state to open and close this model as well using Zustand. Pretty much similar thing. This will contain open, which will by default be false, and then we can just toggle the model. Level to give, okay, it's a toggle model, and we'll just create opposite of that, open. Whatever, if it is true, we'll make it false. If it is false, we'll make it true, and the model will open and close when we use this state. That's the goal. All right, it looks perfect. Let's import it again, and we're done. Obviously we have to export it to use it, right? So now it looks fine. So the next thing that we should be creating is our model itself. So let's go inside our components and create a file called comment modal.js. So now the model will be our normal model React element. So it will have name of a comment model and a couple of things we should import, which is just the state that we just created. Also we should create a state called note and set note, so we can save the note that user has just typed. Default it will be an empty string. We just have to import that user state as well, like that. Now obviously we have to import everything, like change type from use editor, config, path name, everything that we need here. So let's say state will be state.change type. So let's get the type from the use editor as well, which is just all the states. So state.type. Okay, another thing that we will need is toggle comment model we just created before, to toggle our model to open and close it. So we have to import it manually because automatic import is not working for some reason. Let's see, use comment model, so the spelling is correct, and from here get our toggle comment model function. Okay, so the spelling looks pretty fine. Toggle comment model, and here also toggle comment model. Okay, so now just a const. No, I think we should, let's see. Yeah, we'll create a use effect first. So we'll say use effect, and inside of here the comment model, we should test if we have what we needed. Like if you have type dot name and type dot value, which basically means that if some kind of editing functionality is being used, like highlight or comment or something, and if we have that, then only we have to run a couple of things. In this context, we have to just open the model, the comment model, and obviously we want to run it inside a use effect, and I have to use that. All of those is the dependency. So type dot name, type dot value, and toggle comment model is the dependency, so that we can silence our ESLint, which also have to import toggle model, comment model, like that. Okay, now our ESLint will be happy, and we will be happy too. So now let's go into designing our comment model. So the designing is pretty simple. All we have to do is a couple of things, but before that, let's create another function as well, which is just add nodes, which will help us to set our value inside our node state. So let's say e dot first will prevent default behavior, whatever it is, and after that we're just going to set the value in our state. So set node is e dot targeted value, and just like that we are saving our nodes inside our state. Great. Another thing that we should create is submit node. So whenever we submit node, we are saving it inside our config. So let's just say let text equals to node. So we're getting the value from the state, and then we're changing the type. So the name will be obviously comment, because this is a comment type of editing, and the value will also be our text. So yeah, it is a comment type of editor, and then we are using our value as text, whatever we want to set our sticky note as. Very basic stuff, quite easy. Now let's go into designing of our comment model. So designing is pretty basic as well. All we need is a element with position fixed and a children right at the center. Let's create a section, give it a class name. We should call it model contain, model container, and then we'll give it a div with class name of model dash content. We'll give it a heading, add your nodes. After that, we're going to create a text area where user can send or put all of their nodes. Then we'll say on change, we're going to change the value of add nodes. Second thing is we're going to also give it a class name of nodes as input. After that, a placeholder, a good placeholder like enter your nodes or something. And finally a button, which is going to help us to submit our nodes. Just create a call function called submit node, just like that, and it will also contain the class name of submit button or button submit. All right, so we created our comment model. Now we should create our model. The normal model will be used for picking colors and giving highlight text. Everything is pretty similar to our comment model. So let's import everything that we need, like change type, From use editor hook, which will give our change type state. So you can change the state of our type. Second thing we have to import is type itself from use editor, which is the state of type. Finally, we also have to import the toggle model from our model state store, which is obviously use model store, and inside there we have our toggle model to toggle the model. Second thing we have to do is obviously use effect, so we can call some functions, but I think we have to leave it as it is for this, and we will work on this later. So I think we'll just say it is something to be left to be done. Okay, so now we're going to create a function called choose color, where we can pick which color we want to use to highlight the text. It will get the color name, and inside change type we will give it a name of highlight, and value will be our color name. Okay, so finally let's start designing our model, and it's just pretty similar to our comment model, nothing much different in here. So create a section, give it a class name called node container. Okay, sorry, model container obviously, and then again div with model content. Pick your color, so here we have to map all the colors, but we don't have any colors yet. So let's create our colors. I think we should create our colors here. Okay, so for that we'll create a new folder called constant, which will contain all the color variables. I will create a new file called colors.js, and inside I will just use all these colors, and it is pretty similar, simple. We have just color name and color type. So name color gold, if name is white, color is also white. So you just have to create all these things. You can give any name and any color, so just make sure the name and the color is the same. So if you want to give name to be gray, then the color has to be gray as well. If you want to give name to be red, and color has to be red as well. Basically use any colors you want. These are the colors that I've chose. Just make sure that color is an array which contain object of name and color. Just do that and it will all work perfectly. Just import it now and map it and create a design for all the colors on your face. Yeah, so we have to map it and create, probably we'll create in a span. So we'll give it a class name of color box. So first let's create container first, and inside container there will be the box. We should give it a key of color.name. Inside of here let's create a div. So div will have a class name of color dash box, and whenever we click that box, we want to choose the color. So we just choose color, and the color value will have color dot name, and in this way we can choose the color by just clicking on it. Also, we just give it a inline style to have background color is the color that we have given in our variable. And if the chosen color is equals to the color, if we have choose a particular color, then we want to scale it a little bit more to be visible that okay, this color has been selected. So if the color is the color that we chose, then it will scale up a little bit in the design. So close it up, and then give the color name at the bottom. Okay, so the model looks pretty good. Three. Okay, so I was just trying out to console log this. Let's see. We're getting our mouse point wherever we are leaving the mouse, we're getting the value there. In Y, we're getting the object. So here, if I just add some kind of string, just pretty much same. Now we're getting 0, and then whatever we're selecting, we're getting that value. And we're in Y, we are getting object because obviously we have just passed mouse point, not mouse point at Y. It's fine. If we go to our console log, we can just see the X and Y coordinate. We can see the X is 733 and Y is 1685 inside that object. All right. Now, what we should be doing is we should be creating a custom hook called use update dom.js. Here, I have this gist file that I have created for you. You can copy and paste this gist file. This is just JSON manipulation and nothing more, which is why I'm not really fond of typing it on my own. All we are doing is importing all the configuration, and then we are just mapping inside the JSON object to get it. So we're setting DOM, change type config, change config toggle model, and then we're calling this function called update DOM. So we have this couple of functions here: add highlight, add bold, add comments, which we are going to pass, and everything is just calling that update DOM function with a DOM object. And then that update DOM is getting the DOM element and XPath. So we're just getting the XPath to array, and we're just getting each XPath values. We're reversing it, and after that we are checking if we have a children is or not. And if we have a children, then we are getting a specific element. We're filtering and searching for that children which has our text, and we can see yes, here it is, which is going to give us the proper place where the text is located. And then we're just splitting the text and adding our own JSON object. We are just seeing that in bold we are giving bold class name if the type dot value is something else. We're going to giving different class name, and we can just add this child and assign the object. So it's pretty simple. We're finding that particular element or DOM where we have it, and then just changing the DOM inside there. If the type name is comment, we are giving different object with div and everything, and if there is not a comment, then we're just giving normal text. And also we're giving a class name of overcard and all the element there. So for comment we have a different kind of DOM object we'll give, and also in the class name you can see text shadow type dot name. So if it is bold, then it will have a bold class name. If it is highlight, then it will have a highlight class name. If it is comment, then it will have a comment class name. So we're just passing the class name there, and then we are putting all those children and assigning it inside there. And we're also returning the element which starts with the xpath element. After that we're assigning the children, and we are recursively calling the same function again for each and every children because it is highly nested DOM, right? So for each and every children we are just going out there and updating the DOM, and we are searching for that one particular DOM element which contain our text. After that we get the DOM which is changed by us, and then we're going to set the DOM. Okay, so after creating the update DOM mode custom hook, now we have to do couple of changes. Inside our comment model we have to add comment from our update DOM hook. So you can see use update DOM, and here we have add bold, add comment, and add highlight function which has been called. So we're just going to import all of those. So it says say add comment, and use that hook to get that add comment function. Use update DOM. The spelling is correct, so we're just going to import it. So the default import did not work. It couldn't find it for some reason. So use update. Okay, it still does not find that hook. So let's import it manually. And then inside here I will just call that add comment function, which is going to add the comment and update our DOM element. Okay, so you can see here it is use update DOM add comment, and it did not get imported because obviously I'm importing it from use comment model, which is not the proper way of importing it. So I think I should just remove it now like that, and again try to import it. For some reason the default is not working, I don't know why. Use update DOM, no. Okay, I'll just again import it manually. Let's see if it is a default export, or yeah, it is a default export. So let's try it again. Import and the default export from the correct path name. So custom hooks slash use update DOM. Okay, maybe now. What about now? Yeah, I think it just works fine now. So I just added the add comment from our use update DOM. Okay, now that's great. Another thing we have is our modal component, which is for our highlight text, and we have that to do there, remember. So there we have to do a couple of things. So if our type has a name and value, in that case what we're going to do is we're going to add highlight. So add highlight is a function that we'll get from use update DOM. So let's import it. Const add highlight is equals to use update DOM, and from here we get the highlight. Again I have to import it default import is not working for some reason for this file, so use update DOM and then from the custom hook. Okay, I have to give all this dependency type.name, type.value, and add highlight just to make our ESLint happy, and also make sure that these things runs on the type change. Right, so now that is done, let's go inside our floating toolbar, and inside here I have created a gist file for it because obviously everything inside here is also pretty much simple. What we're trying to do here is wherever the mouse pointer x and y is, we want to position this element right there and show it there, just that much, nothing big going on here. Okay, if you just see the code, you will just get what is happening just constantly. It's just not that difficult to understand. So we're just adding getting everything from the state, from all the DOM and all the Zustand, and then obviously we have models, comment models, everything imported into one place. We have all open, set open, everything at the one place there. So here we have to use comment model and import it. It has to be a, yeah, was imported like that, so it's fine. So basically here we are just, so we have that error called extract number from string, which will solve, uh, no worries about that, but let's see this. So we're importing everything, then we have open model function, close model, which is going to help us to close the model, our floating toolbar, and then type, config, everything imported from things that we created before. So inside our app.js we have editor DOM, inside there we have our floating button. Obviously here we have to is the we have this x and y value, and we are using that x and y mouse pointer as in position absolute to put it right at where we want it. So we want that floating tab or bar to be exactly where we left our mouse when we selected text, right? So that's the necessity of this. And then we have close menu, which is going to help us to close the menu. This floating toolbar, which contain bold, color picker, and comment section, so that menu bar of our editor. And then we have add bold, toggle modal, toggle comment model to open and close those highlight text and comment model, and then type and config this configuration for our editor. Then open model, which is going to create a comment, open the comment model. If it is bold, then we want to return. If it's a comment model, we want to open the comment model, and if it is not a comment model, we want to open the highlight text model. That's what's happening here, nothing much. And then use effect, if the type is bold, we are just adding the bold right there. Obviously we have to add config here as well, I think. So this config just to make our ESLint super happy. And then we're just setting the model to be open, toolbar to be open whenever our mouse pointer changes. And here if we are clicking the bold, we have just open model with bold. If we are clicking highlight, we're giving it highlight, and if you are clicking with comment, we're giving it with the comment name, which is the name of the type. Yeah, so everything is pretty basic. We're just kind of like putting the toolbar right where the mouse pointer is. This error of extract number from string, basically we'll create a new file inside our utils called extract number from string. Basically this function will just get the number from our string. So let's say we have a string value, and inside the string value if we have some numbers, then we just want to get that particular number from our string only, and that's what this function does with using regex. So it will take the text as a parameter, and from that text we will extract the number that is inside our string. uh, let's see, we're accepting from 0 to 9. Right, so even I don't know what what I'm doing here, but this is just the regex which is going to replace all the string, and we'll just return us the number that we needed. Okay, so we're just going to return that number, and just like this we are done with our error. The error is removed from the terminal. Now all I have to do is copy, save it, and let's see our browser. In our browser, let's select the text. Now we shall see our floating button, but we didn't see it for some reason. Oh, okay, it is at the end. It should be just where we left our mouse pointer, because that's where we have given the left and top, but it is coming down to the bottom. Okay, let's see why that is. In our floating button, we have y equal to mouse pointer, which will be dot y. So now we have our action y value. So whenever we select a text, we will get our floating button right there, right where we need it. Now the bold is not happening, so let's see what's the error and what's going on here. But anyway, we can see here the floating button is appearing right where we want it, to the x and y, wherever we are leaving our mouse. That's exactly where our button is. So if you see here, we selected text, and the highlight modal and comment modal are not appearing, obviously, because we haven't given that modal anywhere. So let's do that. Okay, so it seems like it is not working. Let's see what else we can do here. What we can do is, there are a couple of things. First of all, we have some mistakes in our use selection. So inside use selection, you can see here in change config we have given selected text. I have tried it out, but before it was select text. Let me show you. Yeah, before it was like this select text, there was some typo error. So all we have to do is just remove that select text and make it correct by using our selected text, which you might probably have done if you were just watching it out perfectly. But anyway, mistakes can be made, no problem. So selected text, and the problem is solved here. Another problem that we have is in our DOM element. So in our use DOM, this process is completely wrong. I don't even know what I was doing. So we have to use set DOM, obviously use the set method. We have to get the DOM, and then it will call a set method, which will call an state and change it from there. So yeah, this is the correct format. Previous was just shit. Okay, so state, and we're going to use DOM, which will just be DOM element, and now this is the correct method. After that, save it. Now let's try it, and you can see suddenly, by magic and blessings from the god, we will get the bold element, which looks pretty awesome, and the bold feature is working right now. Okay, so the bold feature is working like this. Okay, bold is absolutely perfectly working. Now what about something else? They are not working at all. The modal is not showing because we have not used the modal. So let's use those modals. For that, obviously we need a couple of things. First, we have to import the modal itself. Also, we have to import those open and toggle functionalities. So let's get those. So we get the open from use modal state open. So we'll get the open state from our use modal store, which is the store from Justland. And second is open comment modal. What's the spelling of it? Open comment only. Okay, so it's fine. and use comment model just like that. State.open comment. After that, we're going to use the same thing here. Open, if it's open, then we want to use the open model and import it here. And similarly, we're also going to import our comment model like this, and I hope it works. Okay, so we have open model and we have comment model. Okay, so the comment model import is removed because when I save it, if it is an unused import, it automatically remove that. I have that Visual Studio extension for that, and because of that it just got removed. So let's write it again. So I'll just model comment model. Yeah, pretty good. Now you can see here it model is already showing up. So whenever I select a text and click the model, it is showing up perfectly. Now add comment and it is also showing up perfectly. Right now, to make it work, we need to do a couple of things. So bold is already working. Yeah, so the bold is already working, but if we give any highlight, then it will just say highlight is not a function. So where that is inside our floating button probably. Let's see, let's search where that is. Maybe inside our model or model component. Yeah, here. So it has to be a destructured, it is not. Yeah, just like this. And after that, let's select some kind of text and give it a color of gold. And you can see here the gold and white, and the gold and white looks pretty bad because we are not able to see the text properly. So let's change the style there. Let's search yellow. Okay, there is no yellow because it is gold. Let's search the gold. I think it is just right here. Yeah, so in gold we have our background gold. Let's just give it a color of black. So whenever there is gold, it will, the color of the text will be black, so that it's more visible like this. And you can see here it looks so perfect. Now I can just select the text and give any color that I want, which looks pretty amazing. This looks really great. Now select any text, give it any color that you want. White, this works perfectly fine. Just make it bold. Bold works perfectly fine. Now let's go to the landlocked country, add a comment. Let's see if the comment works or not. Landlocked country is a country which is surrounded by land. Let's see, and the comment is set up. So when I hover over that text, the comment will pop up from the top in pretty cool animated way, which also looks absolutely perfect. So everything is done. Let's also style this. Oh, it looks really good. So all the highlight, text, bold and everything is working fine. Obviously it only works in our LED desktop now because we have not handled any event for our mobiles, but it looks pretty good. And also the feature of undo is missing, that you guys might want to implement it yourself. But thank you for watching. I hope you like it. It was such a fun tutorial to start with, and it's such a good project, and it was really fun doing this project. So try it out, improve it, and I hope you learned something while creating this project. I know it's very difficult to wrap your head around it for the first time, but it's really fun. And there were so many cool, awesome things while creating this project. But you know what's awesome? It is Mount Everest. Mount Everest is pretty awesome because it is the highest peak in the world. Yeah, so the tallest mountain in the world. So this project was awesome, but not as awesome as Mount Everest, I guess.